पदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयप्रकाश स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः आचार्यपादाय निगमपदाय गौरकथादाय नमः ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, Text 19. Yatra pravishtamatmanam vibudhanotarajagu vapyamutpalagandhinyam kardameno palalitam. Sorry, Prabhu, I'm supposed to text 18, right, Prabhu?
Yes, 18.
Yes, sorry. गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितै रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजद्विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन् मत्तमधुव्रतम् गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितै रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजद्विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन् मत्तमधुव्रतम् गृहोद्यानं कुसुमेते रम्यं बह्वमरद्रुमैः कूजद्विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन् मत्तमधुव्रतम्. Can someone like to repeat the verse?
Grohodyanam kusumitai ramyam bahva amaradrumai kujad vihanga mithunam gayan matta madhuvritam.
Jai.
Thank
you. Mataji?
No, Mataji, you can.
Prabhuji, can you scroll it down? I can do.
Yeah.
Grahodhanam kusumite ramyam brahma mardrume kujdve gan mithnum gayan matam dhruvatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Graha Udyanam, the whole garden, Kusumitaihi, with flowers and fruits, Ramyam, beautiful, Bahu Amara Drumaihi, with many celestial trees, Kujat, singing, Vihanga, of birds, Mithunam, with bears, Gayat, humming, Matta, intoxicated, Madhuvratam, with bees. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Whenever you come, there is no purport. You only make it.
She will tell the whole canto now.
That's
we'll
right.
End up the canto.
You
can do the Falasuti of. We can do the Falasuti of 33 chapter also. So important.
The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees and their chanting voices as well as humming sound of the bees made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. So we are in Canto 3, Chapter 33. This is the last chapter of Canto 3. With this ending of this chapter, we are going to be completing Canto 3 and proceeding to Canto 4. So before we come to today's verse, we'll make a recap of Canto 3 so that we complete this canto in a nice way, and when we enter Canto 4, we'll not forget from where did Canto 3 start. And we'll also remember the connection between Canto 3 and Canto 4. So Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam is predominantly spoken by Shri Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. Vidura, when in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 13, Vidura arrived at the palace of Dhritarashtra after the Kurukshetra war was over. So at that time it is mentioned that Vidura had come from a long tour. During the Kurukshetra war, he was on a tour of pilgrimage. And after that pilgrimage tour, and having met Uddhava, Maitreya, heard lot of Krishna Katha, he comes to Dhritarashtra's palace to give knowledge to Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and take them out of the family life. Because they're very old and long term, he's in family life, very attached. So for the well-being of his brother, he comes back. So at that time, when they are nearing third canto, Shaunaka the Rishis asked Sutta Goswami that where did Vidura, where all did he go? And also at the end of second canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked so many questions to Shukadev Goswami, nearly 21 questions he asks. This, that, so many questions he asked at this trip. So that time, Shukadev Goswami also, Sutta Goswami also says that these questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, they were answered in the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. So therefore, let us quote that conversation. So Srimad Bhagavatam is intertwined with so many conversations. Like for example, the conversation that is happening in present at this 18th verse of the 33rd chapter is coming after, is kept within so many conversations. We'll come to that. So in this way, Vidura and Maitreya meet. So third canto explains how they met. First, Vidura, as he was going on pilgrimage darshan, he meets Uddhava. And Uddhava and they share wonderful relation. They speak about Krishna directly. And Vidura gets the news that Krishna has departed. And Uddhava also tells Vidura that when Krishna was departing, he was remembering you. Vidura is so filled with happiness and ecstasy, thinking that how merciful the Lord is in the last moment when he is winding up his pastime in his material world. At that time, he remembered me. I feel so special. And Vidura asks Uddhava to speak to him. But Uddhava says, after narrating a lot of pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan and glorifying Krishna, Uddhava tells Vidura that the matter that were entrusted to tell you, that it's better that more than me, Maitreya Muni speaks, because Maitreya Muni was present when myself and Krishna were talking. So since he is senior to me in age, it is more appropriate that he speaks, and he is nearby here only. What is my service? Uddhava says, my service is the Lord instructed me to go and give this news, give this knowledge to the rishis of Badrikashram. There are many rishis waiting there. Naranarayan is also there. I have to go and tell them. That is the instruction given to me. And when I perform the instructions of the Lord, I don't feel the separation from him. When I follow his instructions, remember his instruction. So Uddhava leaves and Vidura goes and meets Maitreya. Vidura having met Maitreya, they speak about many things, of which actually Vidura wanted to know more about Krishna's pastime, but he asked very basic beginning questions about the soul, the material nature, all these things. He asked how the people in the world are suffering, why are they suffering, like this very simple questions he asked, because he did not want to make Maitreya awkward by asking directly very high topics. So in a very considerate way, he asked many questions. And in course of their discussion about different things, he explains about the soul, the nature of the soul, how the soul came away from the spiritual world, the quality and nature of the soul in relation to the Supreme Lord. Like this, so many very philosophical things are there in the beginning of third canto. Then both Parikshit also and also Vidura, they ask about Brahma sub-creation. After the Lord created the elements and the material universe, and Brahma appeared, how did Brahma start creating? That is one of their questions. So in relation to that, the creation of Brahma is described. That how he created, first he created the four Kumaras. They did not listen to him because he told Brahma's main job at the beginning of creation is to fill the creation with the living entity. So for that he needs to create persons who will increase the progeny. But the Kumaras who were first born, they said that no, we don't want to get into Grihastha ashram. We want to remain as small boys and practice brahmacharya and practice and go for moksha. So then Brahma got upset, but he couldn't do anything to them because they were very right in what they said. Then Rudra was born. Then lot of difficult things happened, like Rakshasas were born, they were disturbing. Then finally, many sons were born, but there was no, and these sons were all accepting Grihastha ashram and creating one or two progeny like that. But there was no mass progeny happening, and for that reason, when Brahma was thinking what to do, when he was pondering, deliberating, two personalities appeared in front of him. They were not born from him, but they appeared in front of him, and they were not born together. They were two different personalities, born two different persons, as it is, not like brother and sister. And that was Swayambhuva Manu and his wife Shatarupa. They appeared as husband and wife. So Brahma is very pleased with them, and they tell Brahma that we have come to for fulfilling your thought of creating more progeny. Please give me a place where I can go and start my work. So then he is given this universe, is given this earthly planet and other planets. So then Swayambhuva Manu comes and he begins to create progeny, and Brahma is very pleased with him. And then Swayambhuva Manu's wife Shatarupa gives birth to two sons and three daughters. The two sons are Uttanapad and Priyavrata, and three daughters are Devahuti, Akuti, and Prasuti. So then the glories of these five children are going to be spoken. That is the next topic. So first the story begins with Devahuti. After Devahuti, so third canto deals with Devahuti, ends with the pastime of Devahuti. Fourth canto begins with Akuti and then goes to Prasuti and then gets into Prasuti's children, where Sati is one of the daughter of Prasuti, and then the Shiva Sati Daksha episode comes. Like that, the whole pastime continues. Then the glories of Priyavrata and then Uttanapada's lineage, then Priyavrata's lineage after fifth canto. So like that, the Swayambhuva Manu's family is so important in Srimad Bhagavatam that third canto, fourth canto, fifth canto is dedicated to the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu. And Manu is, of course, the father of mankind, the father of all the living entities. He wrote the great Manusmriti. So his family is very glorious. In his family, a lot of eminent devotees were born. In Swayambhuva Manu's lineage itself, the Lord has appeared multiple times. As the son of Devahuti, he came as Kardama. He came as Yajna, as the son of Ruchi and Akuti. In fourth canto it comes. Then he also comes as the son of Vina, which comes in the lineage of Uttanappa, the son of Swayambhuva Manu, as Pitu Maharaj. And like this, in the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu, the Lord has come up. He himself has appeared as many times, and also he has personally blessed them. Like Dhruva Maharaj was blessed personally by the Supreme Lord. Kardama was personally blessed by the Supreme Lord. Like that, Swayambhuva lineage is very glorious. They also had relations, like the Swayambhuva Manu's son-in-law Daksha. His son-in-law was Lord Shiva. So like this, it is a very all the world in charge. You can say Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, all these great in charge were part of Swayambhuva Manu's family. So such a very glorious family. So therefore, they are described. Three cantos of Bhagavatam focuses on them and their glorious members of their family who are very nice, pure devotees. So in that sequence, we find Devahuti's pastime begins in the mid of third canto, almost towards the end. And it begins with Swayambhuva Manu going around in chariot, searching for a daughter, searching for a husband for his daughter Devavati. At the same time, Kardama Muni, who is the son of Brahma, Brahma orders Kardama Muni to start creating progeny, for which he needs a wife. So Kardama Muni, he does not tell Brahma, the Kardama Muni is not interested in Grastha. He is performing brahmacharya and he is performing pure devotional service and worshipping Supreme Lord Vishnu. And he wants to do that only. But he doesn't disobey his father's orders. He accepts his father's orders and say, I will do it. But he needs a wife for it. Instead of asking Brahma for a wife or Kardama Muni himself going in search of a wife, Kardama Muni performs great tapasya for 10,000 years and pleases the Supreme Lord Vishnu and directly asks Vishnu for a wife. Because Kardama Muni was very clear in his mind that he wanted to attain the Supreme Lord in his lifetime. He wanted to perform pure devotional service. So therefore, he went to the Lord himself and asked a wife suitable for this purpose. He said, I want a wife to fulfill my father's desire, and at the same time, I want to also attain self-realization. So therefore, please give me a wife like that. So then the Supreme Lord, he says to Kardama, he tells Kardama Muni that don't worry, the perfect wife for you is the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu Devahuti. Now Kardama is a Brahmana and Swayambhuva Manu is the Devahuti is the daughter of a Kshatriya. She is a Kshatriya lady. But then Kardama Muni is waiting. The very next day, Swayambhuva Manu comes with Devahuti to Kardama Muni and he tells Kardama Muni that my daughter is a very beautiful young girl. She is filled with all good qualities and I desire to offer her to you. She has also heard from Narad Muni your glories and she has fixed her mind on you and therefore I want to offer her to you. So Kardama Muni, having known from the Supreme Lord, he knows that she is the best wife for him. So he accepts her, but he puts two conditions. He tells her that first condition is he will leave her or he will leave family life the moment they have a child. The moment they have a child who will protect Devahuti, Kardama Muni will leave family life. So Devahuti accepts to this and they get married. Then Kardama and Devahuti's wonderful Grihastha Ashram described how Kardama Muni would do tapasya and Devahuti would assist her husband in performing tapasya and she herself would perform tapasya equal to what Kardama was doing. And in this way, Devahuti's body became very pale. She also had matted locks of hair. She would not take care of her body much and would serve her husband with all heart, all respect, all love. And Kardama is very pleased with her behavior and he wants to give her what she wants. So he wants to give what he has. He has this great amount of spiritual knowledge and spiritual power, which he has accumulated over the years by doing devotional service. When he wants to share that knowledge and give her fearlessness from this material world, Devahuti is at that time not ready for it. Rather, she wants material pleasure and she wants children. So therefore, she asked Kardama Muni, please give me that. So Kardama Muni, he understands his wife's requirement and as a very responsible husband, Prabhupada says, very caring husband, he creates a wonderful aerial mansion that is which beauty is incomparable even by the demigods. Even the demigods are astonished by Kardama's aerial mansion, which is a big palace that can move around in the sky at the speed of the mind to any place. So having aerial mansion, in that aerial mansion, Kardama and Devahuti enjoy for many, many years in different beautiful places in the heavenly planets, like different forests, different mountains and like that. And at the end of that, Devahuti comes back to her hermitage and there she gives birth to 9 daughters. All the 9 daughters are very excellent in saintly qualities, just like their mother. And Brahmaji personally comes and he tells Devahuti and Kardama Muni that please hand over your 9 daughters to 9 different sages based on their character and taste. So based on each person's character and taste, these 9 daughters are entrusted to 9 rishis. And these daughter and these rishis, this couple, they are one of the greatest couples of the material world's history. Like there is Vasishtha, Arundhati, all these great sages whom we read about, Atri, Anasuya, they are all in this list of Devahuti's daughters. One second, I can take the list of that daughters. You can see how glorious they are. Yes. So the daughters of Kardama were Kala. Kala married Marichi, great sage. Then Anasuya, second daughter, was given to Atri. Then Shraddha, another third daughter, was given to Angira. Now we know the glories of Angira. He used to travel with Narad Muni. He also comes in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam. When Maharaj Chitraketu, he is in search of a son. He doesn't have a son. And after marrying crores of queens also, he doesn't have a son. Then Harsha Shoka is born by the blessings of Narada and Angira. So there Angira is mentioned. And then Havir Bhu, fourth daughter, is handed over to Pulastya. Pulastya is also a very famous sage. In fact, in his Vamsha, only the great demon Ravana also comes. Pulastya Rishi. And very powerful rishis they are. For fifth daughter, Gati, is given to Pulaha.
They are Navayogindras?
No. Navayogindras come later.
The names looks
and then by sixth daughter is Gati. She's given to Pulaha. Seventh daughter Kriya is given to Kratu. And then eighth daughter Khyati is given to Brigu. We know the glories of Brigu. He had the power to travel to the planet of Vaikuntha, Kailash, and Satyaloka directly and test the three Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the three main personalities. And then ninth is Arundhati to Vasishtha.
After Gati, what you told, Varti.
Some
The
connectivity
fifth
issues.
daughter, Kala and Anasuya and Shraddha and Havirbi and Gati are after that.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
What is the seventh?
Seventh is Kratu. Seventh is Khyati and Brigu. Khyati is the daughter, Brigu is the husband. Eighth is Arundhati and Vasishtha. And ninth is Shanti, her husband is Atharva.
And what is the sixth one?
Sixth is Kriya.
Varti.
Kriya.
Kriya.
He married Kratu Rishi. So thus, when all these daughters end,
Huh? Le. Oh, Ada.
so in this way, all the daughters were handed over properly. And then our Devahuti, she and then Kardama Muni is ready to leave her because the children are born, so he leaves her. But then she tells him that you have to give me fearlessness, by which she means that you have to give me a son. In fact, she actually laments for her desire for material enjoyment for all this while. She says, I had such a glorious husband who was so self-realized, and he was ready to give me fearless, give me devotional service to Krishna. Accepted for sense gratification. But now that I have got so much sense gratification, now I lament about it, and I'm eager to get fearlessness. So that time, the Supreme Brahma himself comes and solaces Devavati and says, "Don't worry, the Supreme Lord is going to be born in your womb." So then, after performing tapasya for some time, both of them engage in pure devotional service, and then through Kardama, Devahuti gives birth to Kapila. Kapila is born as a young boy. He is a supreme personality of God himself. He has golden hair, very beautiful body, very saintly to look. And Brahma and everyone come to take darshan of Kapila the moment he is born. And the moment Kapila is born and he's ready to take care of his mother, then immediately Kardama Muni leaves. So this pastime shows the glories of how Kardama was so renounced that even though the Lord was born in his home, he still was not attached to his home. Rather, he performed his prescribed duty of, as a Vanaprastha, going to the forest and worshipping the Supreme Lord there. So he went. Then Devahuti, she begged Kardama Muni that, sorry, not Kardama, she begged Kapila, her son, that please enlighten me with spiritual knowledge, by which I can also attain the ultimate goal of life. So, as a very chaste and sincere wife, Devahuti did get, without even performing direct devotional service, she of course got a part of what her husband had achieved. Whatever self-realization, whatever benefits Kardama Muni had achieved by performing devotion, by performing so many years of tapasya, just by serving her husband, Devahuti attained all of them. But just as Prabhupada says, everyone should fly their own flights. Like that, even though she was so elevated and she had a husband and son, the Supreme Lord is her own son, Kardama Muni, her husband, is one of the greatest Vaishnavas in history, still she had to fly her own flight back home, back to Godhead, and therefore she surrendered to Kapila. And then Kapila Muni, he begins to preach to Devahuti. Kapila Muni is a propounder of the Sankhya philosophy, which is an analytical study of the soul. And that teachings of Kapila come from chapter 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So from text 35 onward, from text 25 onwards, till this particular chapter, just before 33, till 32, Kapila Muni, he is teaching Sankhya Yoga to his mother. And Devahuti is also sharing her realizations in the end of 32nd chapter. So he first glorifies devotional service, and this teachings of Kapila is one of the most important lessons of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like we have the Chatushloki, we have the prayers of Vritrasura, we have the prayers of Queen Kunti. Like that, this Sankhya teachings by Kapila is one of the most important parts of philosophical parts of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's very interesting, very deep, and very important for devotees to understand. In this, different things are explained, and especially in the end, how the soul is born and how in the womb of its mother, the child grows. Every single aspect of the child's growth, how the child prays, a fortunate child, how does he pray to the Lord, and what happens when he is born later. Everything is explained. Then Devahuti, she begins to glorify, after Kapila finishes his teachings, Devahuti is very happy, and she is completely enlivened with devotional service, and then she glorifies whatever she learned from her son Kapila, and she presents the conclusions, how chanting the holy name is so important, and she glorifies her son Kapila as the Supreme Lord. So therefore she knows that her son is the Supreme Lord, and with awe and reverence she glorifies him, she glorifies his holy names. And that is what the chapter 33 began with. of this canto, which is and this chapter is entitled The Activities of Kapila. So now we are discussing the activities of Devahuti after Kapila left. But towards the end of the chapter, we'll be describing what did Kapila Muni do after leaving his mother. Now, after Kapila left, when Kapila finished, Devahuti glorified Kapila nicely as the Supreme Lord, and whatever she learned from him, she mentions principles of that in her prayers. And then when Kapila leaves, what does Devahuti do? Devahuti is staying in her own house where she and Kardama were living. In that house, which is the aerial mansion that he had created. In that place, she is staying and she is performing Bhakti Yoga as Kapila had taught her. So she is practicing that. And it is said that she already reached the place of Samadhi. In the beginning of her practice itself, she is said to attain the state of Samadhi. She used to bathe thrice daily and she used to perform austerity, and she would wear like not very new garments but very simple garments and perform devotional service. But very interesting thing is from chapter 15, from text 15 of this chapter onwards, it describes the opulence of her home. The place where she was staying was the aerial mansion of Kardama. So she is in living such a renounced life, performing devotional service. But how is her home? Her home is, we can see the opulence. It's already mentioned before when the aerial mansion was gifted to her, and now again it is mentioned how beautiful and how opulent it was. So in the verse that we read today also, it talks about how the house had beautiful gardens and there used to be so many fragrant flowers and bees and birds humming, and very naturally very beautiful atmosphere that is very relaxing for the mind. So this whole section of this chapter now here on describes the glories of the palace, and which is actually a way to glorify Devahuti. That even being present among such great opulence, she was not carried away by this opulence. She has been used to comfort all her life. Since birth as the daughter of Swayambhu Manu, she was born and brought up in a palace, and she was very taken care very nicely. Then when she married Kardama, she did tapasya for some time, and then she got this beautiful aerial mansion as a benediction for her service. And then she has been living in this mansion with all wonderful opulence. But still, when she realized devotional service is such that when you perform devotional service, detachment and knowledge automatically follow. Knowledge and detachment. So she naturally got detached. She did not have to do anything to get detached from this opulence, but naturally she developed detachment because she knew that all these things are after all material and temporary. Now it is the time of her life to perform devotional service and reach the abode of the Lord. Therefore, she was not very attached to all these things, and at the same time, she didn't renounce and go away. Now, if it was a very immature devotee, what they would do is, no, so much opulence is not right. And they would leave all the opulence and go to voluntarily take up a very simple and difficult place to live. But that is the beauty of Devahuti, that she was present in the same palace given by her husband. And here she was protected by Kardama and Kapila. Even though they had left her, they had made all arrangements for her to be protected. So as she did not imitate, but she was such a mature devotee that she knew that how to be detached even being amidst all opulence. This is a very beautiful aspect. Sometimes devotee, when people are coming into Krishna consciousness, they get scared. Do we have to give up all our material? We should stop earning, or whatever we earn, we should give to temple and we should get into the temple and serve or what, like that. They get, scared. But actually, devotional service is a matter of consciousness. One can be in between of opulence also and be Krishna conscious also. That is why Prabhupada named it International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The consciousness is very important. Here we can see how Devahuti's consciousness is perfectly situated in the Supreme Lord. In Gita also Krishna tells mainly about this consciousness only. He tells Arjuna, please perform your prescribed duty, but most important is what consciousness are you doing your duty? Are you fighting to get the kingdom and enjoy the kingdom? Are you fighting out of hatred for Duryodhana? Or are you fighting because it is your duty of a Kshatriya, and if you perform your duty, you are in heavenly planets? No. The consciousness with which you should fight is because I want you to fight. Because it is for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And whatever result is going to come by performing the fight, you are not interested in that. You are detached from it. You are offering the result to the Supreme Lord. This is the consciousness in which you should fight. So the activity is not important, not so important, but what is more important or most important is one's consciousness with which one performs the activity. Krishna says in third chapter that prescribed duty, he gives the example of Janaka Mahajan. He says that Janaka Dayaha, the kings like Janaka, they perform the prescribed duty of ruling the kingdom, even though there was no need for him to do that. Why? Because Janaka, Mahajans like Janaka, kings, they were already transcendental. They had already attained self-realization. They need not perform the kingly affairs, but they did it just to set example for others and to please the Lord. At the same time, similar prescribed duty is done by materialistic activities, which is their duty, is done by common man. But what is the difference? Great person like Janaka do it for the pleasure of the Lord and to set example for the common people, whereas common people who are in ignorance, they perform the same duty for their own pleasure or for the attached to the result, waiting for to enjoy the result. So the consciousness is the main difference. But if you see outwardly, the duty that both person may be doing is very materialistic and a similar action. As a Kshatriya, it is his prescribed duty to take care of the kingdom. This other man, as a Vaishya or a common man, as his prescribed duty, he is doing his activities. Both are doing prescribed duty. But there is a difference, which is in the consciousness. And because of that, there is bondage, there is no bondage. So therefore, consciousness is very important. And here Devahuti teaches us that important lesson of how, even though being in such a beautiful situation, such an opulent situation, still her consciousness was to perform devotional service as taught by Kapila. That was the glories of the teachings of Kapila. So now coming to today's verse, the beauty of the place. And so today's verse, when I was reading, one thing came to my mind was how is the beauty described in Srimad Bhagavatam? Whenever we come across in Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of any beautiful place, in 3rd canto 15th chapter, the description of Vaikuntha is there. It's so, when you read it, you feel so peaceful. When you read here the description of the airplane or any palace or anything, generally a palace, the headquarters.
Vaikuntha, which was you told?
Canto 3, chapter 15, description of the kingdom of God. There, and then in Canto 1, there is Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka and Krishna's departure from Hastinapur. At that time, the Hastinapur and Dwaraka. Whenever we come across such situations where the palaces or cities of Bhagavatam is described, we find that it is so naturally beautiful. It is not artificially beautiful. We always find mentions of plants and rivers and trees and birds. Birds are very important. Birds singing, natural fresh fruit and vegetables are there. So this is very beautiful. There are gems and marbles, and there are beautiful auspicious things on the road, in front of their houses. This is very interesting. Lotus flowers are mentioned always. So this is what beauty is actually. According to the Vedic system, this is what beauty is. If you want to, even materially, this is one material description only. Materially, if you want your place to be beautiful also, Bhagavatam doesn't accept the beauty of skyscraper buildings or tiled floors and yellow color lights. This is not the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. This description of beauty is not found in Srimad Bhagavatam anywhere. Because we cannot say that Bhagavatam described those days. The words of Bhagavatam are eternal. They are applicable for any part of the yuga or any part of time, the words of acharyas and and scriptures are valued. So this is what real beauty is actually. And in fact, today we find, if you go to a 5-star hotel, which is having a swimming pool and having dark rooms, the walls are very brownish with yellow lights and nice bed sheets, and like that, you go to a room that will be costing some N number of rupees. But nowadays, even you can find that more expensive than that is a room in a very ecosystem-like place. Now people pay more to go to live in a cottage, to live within a forest. There is a relative of mine who lives in Bangalore, and she is having a house in 3-bedroom house in one of the skyscraper buildings. So now she has saved so much money all her life, she and her husband, and they are going into a forest area in Bangalore. She said it's filled with mangroves, and from your windows you can look at trees and greenery everywhere and river all around, water all around. And they're spending so much money to get that house. But interesting, funny part, this is how it was few years ago. Around 10-20 years ago, every village was like this actually. India was filled with villages and they used to have a lot of trees and everything. And it was so beautiful. Then now man-made, out of greed, the man built so much skyscrapers, and they changed the mud roads to tar roads. They cut trees on the roads, which were giving shelter, and that has led to heat now. And then they brought ACs, they brought so many unnecessary inventions which were so-called solutions to the man-created problems actually. The problems were not there. First man created problem, and then man began to think for so-called solutions to that problem, rather than actually identifying what is the problem. And everything is leading to global warming and a very, very dangerous situation. And now people are coming to their senses, and now they want to go back to age-old lifestyle. And but now that lifestyle is very expensive. Those days, what was easily achievable even for a common man. If you think villages, if you think some 10-20 years ago, a common man would have a land, he would have cows, he would have access to fresh water in rivers, he would have access to fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, and living a very healthy life. He was very, very satisfied and content life. He did not have gadgets, he did not have unnecessary disturbances in his life, like how we find description here. These things which are described in these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, they don't need much money to build all these things, right? To build a skyscraper, you need a lot of money. To buy a car or a automobile, you need some lot of money. But how much money does it take to have a garden or have fragrant flowers and have trees? These are naturally given by the Lord for free. If one if one tries to achieve this, it's very easy to have it. So therefore, this when I read this, that was the first thing that struck to me, that always in Bhagavatam, and when we read these descriptions, it's so peaceful to the mind. Just imagining also about a place which is surrounded by trees and fresh fruits hanging, and when you walk, even in when you read this, the beautiful garden with sweet, fragrant flowers. Even in Mayapur, when we go now it is Kadamba season in Mayapur. It's rain is just beginning, and Kadambas are all blooming in the trees, and Mayapur is filled with Kadamba trees. So when you walk on the road early in the morning or in the evening, when it is nice cool breeze is coming, the whole area is filled with Kadamba, the smell of Kadamba flowers. The pollen from the flowers fall down, or the flowers fall themselves, and there's a nice, wonderful smell is coming. So this is the natural beauty which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you read this, when you imagine this, the sound of the birds sitting together and nicely calling out, nicely singing, and at the same time bees are also sounding, as it says in this verse, the whole atmosphere is as pleasing as possible. It's so pleasing to the mind. Even for a materialistic person also, this will appear pleasing for sure. It'll be away from the city, hustle, bustle and all. So this just shows that how far we have complicated our lives. We have complicated our lives to such an extent that now even if we think we cannot go back to our old way, to the natural way of lifestyle, we can't even return. To such an extent we have complicated ourselves. But when we read these aspects from Srimad Bhagavatam, they teach us that this is how, and even materially, you want a beautiful place also, this is how it should be beautiful. It is not what you think which is beautiful today. And soon people are also realizing that in this Kali Yuga, people have begun to realize that also, that this is not the beauty. So we can hope, like ISKCON is also working on many farm projects. So soon one day we'll have a lot of farm projects where we can go and experience such kind of a lifestyle also. And take the lessons from Devahuti that even if we are in the middle of a city, even if in whatever situation we are, it is the consciousness that matters. If we can develop our consciousness to perform devotion in any condition, then the material condition outside doesn't matter. That should be our aim of life. Having known that now the world has so degraded, we cannot go to the ancient peaceful lifestyle again. But at any situation, one thing that we can always do is perform devotional service. Because devotional service is not in relation to any of the outside circumstances. Devahuti is performing devotion in such a comfortable circumstance here, such an opulent circumstance. There in Canto 1, Kunti Maharani is performing devotion in the most difficult circumstance also. Bhishmadev in Canto 1 is performing devotional service when he is lying in a bed of arrows. And in almost every inch of his body, 2 arrows are struck. In such a painful condition, he is doing devotion. Vritrasura is performing the same amount of devotion when his arms and legs and everything is cut and he's fallen in the battlefield. And he's reciting the most beautiful prayers. He's giving examples like a bird calling for its mother, like a cow, like a calf running to its mother. Such beautiful examples of love he's telling when he's fallen with blood coming out of his body in the battlefield. So this all examples from Srimad Bhagavatam prove that material situations are not a obstacle in performing devotional service, because devotional service is possible to be performed anywhere because it is only a state of consciousness. So therefore our aim is to build our consciousness and make it a very Krishna consciousness, so that we can perform devotional service very easily in any situation. That is the lesson that we can take from Devahuti Devi. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Super.
I'm very happy. In Purushottama month, I got to speak on Kardama and Devahuti's glories, that too in such a...
In the summary of the whole thing, third canto, fantastic, Mata. You spoke like Saraswati Devi, really. Let this Kataksha be there. I think you can talk on all the 12 cantos in 1 hour if you want. You're so well versed. I'm really so much pleased. I think you'll be doing definitely all over the world. It's just a matter of few years. Antaranga in USA, Antaranga in Holland, Hong Kong, will be preaching. There's no words to express your talent. Prabhu, you just glorify our daughters. Or Antaranga.
Hare Krishna, wonderful, as Prabhu said, the recap was really amazing. The whole we were thinking about those times where many speakers came and spoke on these years recap, which is going to finish. One question, couple of verses before Prabhupada said, and many places said, Mataji should be always dependent on first from the father, then from brother or husband, then son. Here also Devahuti is explaining that. In the modern context, if like Lord Kapil Dev goes out, how can we can take up the same knowledge to the modern day women? First, they cannot, they will not have anyone, because nuclear families, no one will have, now will be there. If son goes out, after father goes out, then son also goes out. The dependency will not be there. The Prabhupada says always they should be in the dependence of someone. And then this is one, and the other one is livelihood also in check. So how should we take up to these philosophies to the modern day context?
And tell about women liberation also. Tell about women liberation. People are also much running here and there.
Next verse deals with this, and next verse has a purport. So I thought maybe today I'll speak on next verse purport. But then I thought, okay,
No,
this,
please, no
Please
problem.
tell.
this will take. But so next verse purport actually deals with this thing about how next verse purport says about how Kardama had arranged for Devahuti's care even after he left. And so Devahuti was always in the care of Kardama or Kapila. See, two things you asked for. One is how modern day ladies can always be in shelter in a situation when it's like this. But first of all, modern day ladies should accept to take shelter. That is, they don't like to hear that I want to be. Why should I be dependent? Is the first question that
That
they
is the
ask.
first challenge. Yeah.
That if they accept, then we can think of okay, what shelter will they take next? But first, they don't accept shelter. That itself is very difficult to change in their in their mindset. So there can be many reasons for that mindset. One is because of what they are seeing abuse that has happened on them for many years. That can be one reason. It is very logical only for them to think like that. Or it can also be their own ego. Because in today's world, they are given lot of chance to be independent. They are also educated. They are accepted to take up jobs and earn nicely. Financial independence is also easy for them to attain. So they don't feel the necessity for taking dependence. And they don't like to hear also that I should be dependent on someone. They want to accept this thing of equality, that we are in all ways equal to men. So first we need to explain to them that how by taking dependent, by accepting shelter or being dependent on someone, it is not that they are being made inferior. It is not like that. In fact, Prabhupada gives an example, I just don't know where, but in Bhagavatam, that when there is something very valuable, like a very precious gem or diamond or something, it is always set in a golden ring to make it safe and make it more beautiful. So the lady accepting the shelter of father, son, or husband is actually making her even more beautiful. She's like a gem set into the gold. So she's not making her inferior in any way. It's only making her more beautiful and more cared for. That so maybe by explaining to them slowly, slowly, they should understand that they should not feel that they're being made inferior. That is the issue. So they should be made to understand that they're actually taken care nicely. In fact, it is this situation even in Gita, Arjuna says that if I kill everyone in the war, the woman will be unprotected, and then unwanted population, Varna Shankara will happen. So therefore, they need to be protected. That is, if we go and explain to them that you're less intelligent, you'll be carried away by emotions, therefore they shelter. That is also true, but that is very harsh way of explaining. Explain in a very nice way so that they feel better. And having explained like that, if they accept to take shelter, then second aspect comes as the husband or the son leaving for the forest. In present day, there is no forest. Prabhupada already says that even if one wants to go to forest, there is no forest to take shelter of. Even in the case of Narad Muni in Canto 1, when Narad Muni describes his previous life, he says, I went into city as after Bhaktivedanta is left and his mother departed. He was going in shelter and he was going in search of the Lord. And he passed by villages, he passed by cities, and he passed by forest. And in that purport, Prabhupada says, even forest is not accepted because it is in the mode of goodness. One has to come out of three modes. And therefore, when he went to temples of Vishnu and took shelter, that was the best place for him to perform devotional service. So therefore, in this Kali Yuga, especially, it is not recommended to go in seclusion to forest and perform devotional service. So the husband or the son, it is better they stay in the house, make the house like a temple, and they perform devotional service. In this way, the wife or the mother is not left uncared for. That is one option. If the husband or the son feels no, I want to go for vanaprastha, I'll go and become a temple devotee, I'll leave home and become temple brahmachari like that, then the husband naturally needs to leave the son in charge of his mother. And after the husband leaves, the son says, I got an opportunity abroad, let me go abroad. He can either take his mother with her. If that is not possible, he should put his mother under care of some senior Vaishnavas.
Okay.
Not old age home. Not old age home.
Not old age home. In fact, in Mayapura Vrindavan, they're planning to make a retirement place for single Matajis to stay like that. But that is ISKCON is trying that from its side. But at the same time, we individually, devotees can also give shelter. Who devotees who are capable, they can give shelter to like this single devotees. That is also one option.
Yeah. Thank you, Mother. It's so wonderful.
Ajit Prabhu, आपको
The
कुछ
olden
बोलना है
houses you
मत?
were mentioning, when I was living in one or 2 days, I stayed in Govardhan Eco village. The walls were made by cow dung. They're so beautiful, so cool. And then again we come into this, as you said, in the apartments living.
I heard
That
that
is,
some
Prabhu,
countries making patent for cow dung because
yeah,
now they know how valuable it is.
yeah.
but
It's more
Govardhan
expensive.
village was looking like Vrindavan only. Exactly like Vrindavan only. Everything was there.
Yes,
Radha Kund, Sham Kund.
everything was.
Ajit
Govardhan.
Prabhu, आप कुछ बोलेंगे माता जी के बारे में?
Thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful. Sorry, Mataji, I joined a little late. Thanks for such a wonderful class. Mataji, I had one question, three questions rather. So, first question is, Mataji, like the responsibility a husband passes to his son to take care of his mother, right? But here we see that yes, Kapil Deva has taken responsibility, but Kapil Deva has also left Devahuti Mata, right?
Yes.
He went to
He
forest,
also
Ganga Sagar,
leaves after
educating her.
giving the knowledge to his mother. Why does he does so? Why he left her mother? His mother, sorry.
The purpose of Kapila's advent was to preach Sankhya philosophy. He
Right.
did that very nicely and he's going to preach it even more. And he did not leave his mother uncared and leave. He gave her the ultimate knowledge which gives her fearlessness. So she attained fearlessness, she attained the ultimate goal of life that was already attained by her. She already reached Samadhi. And also, it is said in the next verse that when she was present in this aerial mansion, she was actually protected by her husband and her son.
The damsels of
The celestial Gandharvas and all, they were all actually kept by Kardama to take care of her. So as long as she was within that house in her ashram, she is protected. And she's also got the knowledge of fearlessness, which can give her fearlessness. And she's shortly going to go back to Godhead. So Kapila didn't leave her in a very dangerous or very unpredictable situation, but he made all best possible arrangements for her.
yeah, Mataji, I agree. But here the question is like, shall one follow Kapil Deva or it's in a similar way? For example, any like any elevated spiritual soul, right? Their job is to just spread Krishna consciousness, and while they are doing so they can leave their family or their mother like this, because Kardama Muni just gave that responsibility to his son. Now his son has I feel that because he is himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knows when his mother is going to leave this material world, and that was not too far from the time when Kapil Deva himself left.
He could have waited, you're telling.
Why
He could have
did
waited.
he stayed back? And even we don't get any reference of his future activities in Srimad Bhagavatam.
No,
Right?
they are written in the future. He's doing Ganga Sagara place,
There is
and he's
this,
doing tapasya even now. Even though he's doing tapasya, that for the,
in
all
this
the
chapter,
3 yugas.
text 33 chapter, in this particular chapter, text 12. So Kapila is leading in that. So I'll just read the translation and purport. Maitreya said the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his
Right.
mission having been fulfilled.
Yes.
Purport says the mission of appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy,
Right.
which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother and through his mother to the world, Kapila had no more need to stay at home, so he took permission from his mother and left.
Went to Ganga
Apparently,
Sagara. He went to Ganga Sagara, they told Ganga Sagara. And now
Even
also
today,
he's meditating. Even now they are telling that till the
yes.
Kali Yuga is ending, he's going to pray for all the souls and everything they've written.
So then Prabhupada says, therefore, this is an example set by Supreme Lord while acting like an ordinary human being so that others might learn from him. He could have, of course, stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with his family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness.
Even
Those who
Kardama
are
Muni,
unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness.
even
So,
Kardama Muni could have stayed back. No, why did he go? Because his Krishna has come to the house. He's going to the forest again to do devotion. So it is a little confusing. When God has appeared in the house, you are again going to forest to again associate with God. So why there was no need to go, no, actually. But he wanted to go as a Vanaprastha because he's already attained the age and son has come and
he passed on to his son and he went, following, setting example properly. And Kapila Dev's purpose was this, and that's what Prabhupada is saying, that there was no more need for him to stay with his family. So therefore Kapila had left. He also wanted to set example that if there is no, if one is able to leave house and perform devotional service properly in a secluded place, then there is no need for him to remain in the house. But we also discussed that in present day it's very difficult, very risky to perform bhakti in seclusion. One may get carried away. So therefore, it is better to stay in home or in a particular situation like in a temple, sadhu sangha, in association of devotees. Then perform devotion is better than going to the forest.
Jai Mataji. One more question, and this question I am asking because this is a reference which which we are discussing right now also, and one of the questions which came in my Bhakti Vaibhav OBA question also, wherein the question was protection of cows, brahmanas, old people, and there was one more, children and old people, right? So Prabhupada gives a stress here. And when it was it was asked about to give suggestions on that, and when it was coming to be regarding care of old devotees, a thought came to me that we say that we should not send old people to old age homes, right?
Yes.
But what if these old age homes are managed and taken care by devotees itself? If we develop such old age homes where these old age people can live in Vanaprastha and can perform Krishna conscious activities, because generally what has been seen that they still are attached to their family members in their old age and they are not able to concentrate on their Krishna conscious activities. And if such facilities are available for them, why can't they come at such old age homes, live there and perform Krishna conscious activities? They will be free from attachment and can move ahead. So is this not a right way, or can this be done or not?
Should be done.
It can be done. It's a very, as an institution, if somebody does it, as a initiative, somebody does it, it's very good. Especially in Holy Dham, if they have this kind of situation, then devotees can, their children or their family members can sponsor and they can send the elderly people to this kind of dham to stay. But the consciousness of the people who send them should be right, that for the betterment of the person, of my mother or my father, they're old, let them go and change dham and perform devotion nicely. With that mindset, if one sends, it is fine. But if one person takes advantage of this kind of situation and feels the parents are burdensome and sends them here, then it might be very well and good for the parents because they're ultimately taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. They're getting opportunity to perform devotion. But for that son or daughter, whoever it is, for them it is a very bad reaction they will have for it.
But Mataji, it is even when they are keeping their parents at their homes, they are not treating them well or they are not taking care of them.
They should take care of them. They should take care of them properly. Even if they don't perform devotion or encourage devotion, at least they should take care of them properly in respect them and take care of them in a nice way. That is the duty of the children.
Because in this changing atmosphere, and this changing world, what I am finding is like my children only. For example, they are studying right now, and they get educated, and because the lifestyle is such and the education pattern is such that they are going to go in jobs. They may not live in the city. They may go abroad or whatever. Right? It can be many possibilities. Now, the situation is that even if they are working and I am living with them and I am not able to concentrate or have such a situation, then if there are such institutions which take care of people in their old age and also giving them an atmosphere of Krishna consciousness, it will be very helpful. That is what I was thinking. I couldn't write all these things in that essay, but I thought of just discussing in some forum where if something like that can be done as a service also. Like
ISKCON should start. ISKCON should start. So many parents, at home, they're watching TV and rotting the time. At least they can go back home by being with the devotees, chanting. They're not getting an opportunity.
Surely, such a idea, such an initiative comes with great amount of responsibility. So accepting old people has a lot of responsibility. But if it is started, it will be surely very useful for many people.
But then when you go to Mayapur next time, you just tell, you're meeting all the devotees, just put this thought of Prabhu. Very wonderful thought, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, what I was thinking, I'm missing the name of Prabhuji. Who was your boss? Who is in Mumbai?
Vaikuntapati Prabhu.
Vaikuntapati Prabhu, right? He is taking care of the senior Vaishnava devotees in the medical health and perspective, right? Similarly, from service perspective only, few people can join together and form such institute or place at dhams or at some places where such things can also be done. It can be an
wonderful idea.
So you can
wonderful
also share
idea.
that idea with him.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Very good service if it is done.
Thank you, Mataji.
So they all can get a chance to go back if they are together in the one thought,
They
one
can
mood.
do kirtans, they can have prasadams, all those things. Like at the old age, they need all those supports. Right? If they really get at that time and they always get engaged, hearing, chanting, and when everybody is the devotee there, and they will be getting that atmosphere, then obviously they will be more Krishna conscious. They'll be just thinking.
And there should be a Bhaktivedanta hospital branch also. So that before time when my father left his body, they all chanted 4 rounds. By listening the chanting, he left his body.
Very good.
Radhanath Maharaj had told that, don't worry, let him hear the chanting. And now my mother is telling, I want to also go to the Bhaktivedanta hospital to leave the body. So Guru Maharaj said, wherever you are there, that is Vaikuntha. Don't worry, he told like that.
Prabhuji, I think Mataji has to leave. She is also getting late to sleep also. So let's just.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
She's coming to Tamil Nadu.
Oh, very good.
Pro husband ko naukri mil gaya.
Oh, very good.
So you can now you are going to make Tamil Nadu as Mayapur. It's your duty.
Yes, sir.
Wherever you go, carry Mayapur.
The place where we are going, there is not much satsang going on. We yet have to identify. So we have lot of opportunity to start something.
Your thought process is very good. Actually, one person went to Africa, Bata company. So they said, go and make a survey. He said, no, nobody wears chappal. Another person went and said, super chance, no chappal. Like that, you're going to Kadalur, Krishna is down. So you make the whole thing.
Jai. Thank you
and
so
your
much.
husband.
Please, all of you, please pray and bless us. You should preach next year.
You're already a pure devotee. Nothing to bless. You're already a pure devotee.
Nothing like that. Please.
Vancha
kalpatarubhasya kripas evache patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Tulsi Mataji ki jai ho. Gauranga. Nityananda. Gauranga. Nityananda. जय जय श्री राधे श्याम सबको मिले वृंदावन धाम गोवर्धन गिरिलाल की जय हो अंतरंगा माता जी की जय हो रामेश्वर की जय हो Ajit Prabhu ki jai ho, DS Naik Prabhu ki jai ho, Radhe Radhe. Oh, Sachi Asundamati has come. Sachi Asundamati, why you didn't come on the video? Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
everybody bago nara, namaskar ni Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Pranams to. I was listening to Antaranga and also her
Yeah.
wonderful answers. So
Yes.
very, very fortunate to listen to her. Very nice, Prabhuji, and thanks for sending the link that I could join.
Mataji, why are you not giving darshan for us? So
No,
many
because
years of-
Prabhu, I'm not actually well, and I'm having.
Okay.
I put. I'm undergoing Ayurvedic treatment, so I put pain patches and things. So maybe.
the Ramakrishna Prabhu's wife, Ramakrishna Prabhu already did Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and Bhakti Vedanta. Mataji also did Bhakti Vedanta. Now they will become Sarvabhaumya, 4th grade.
Krishna,
So let
Krishna.
us chant three times for Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Actually, Mataji's husband, when he came to ISKCON, so many questions he will ask. So many questions. And now I can see he has become my guru. My son has become my guru. He's doing so well, classes, and Mataji also doing so well. So happy, Sachi Mataji. I'm so proud of you and Ramakrishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please keep us in your prayers. Please bless us.
Radha Krishner Matir Astu. Actually, you have to bless me because you have become senior to me because
No.
you're all
It
Bhakti.
never happens like that. There is nothing like senior, junior. You have always been a Siksha Guru and continue to be a Siksha Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Ramagopika
also-
Mataji also joined 2 times and left.
Who?
Her mother.
Samagu. Yeah, she's coming like a Chupa Rustam coming and going. I saw her 2 times she came.
Yeah. Maybe network problem. Okay, Prabhu. See,
Thanks,
Thank you
Prabhu.
so much.
Thanks, Antaranga. Thanks, Beta, for the wonderful session.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class. May Krishna bless you.
It's a surprise. Thank
Now
you so much.
there's a small Radha Madhav has to come in your house. Lots Madhav. Hare Krishna.